We're back live tonight. Security in Focus, and thanks for staying on. The Bapedi Sekhukhune in Limpopo are claiming ownership of land that stretches from the north of the province to parts of Midrand and Pretoria in Gauteng. The Limpopo royal clan wants the South African government to recognize them as the first inhabitants of this stretch of land, rich with minerals. The representative of the Bapedi Sekhukhune Kabelo Matsepe is joining us in the studio to elaborate a little bit on this. Good to have you, Kabelo, and thank you very much for your time. Let's start first and foremost. What is the mandate that has been given to you by the Bapedi royal family of Sekhukhune?
Evening, Thabo, and thanks for having me. I think let me first elaborate on, maybe let me give you a background on the status of the kingdom.
Yeah.
You might know that President Ramaphosa recognized the Bapedi kingdom in 2020 under the leadership of King Victor Thulare, who unfortunately passed on a few months after his recognition. The royal family then convened and appointed a regent, and the kingdom is now under the leadership of Her Majesty Queen Manyaku Thulare. That's the mother of the late king. I just thought I should clarify that to say there's no vacuum in terms of leadership there. There is a current leader, which is the queen. There might be a few rotten elements here and there who are disputing her position.
We have engaged Advocate Matolo Mutsecha on that a little bit, so he did kind of explain.
Yes,
that kind of
just like in any other kingdom, we're not an exception. You know, in particularly in our kingdom, people, there are those elements who are in disbelief that the kingdom is led by a woman. And unfortunately, they will be led by a woman, and they are led by a woman. So we do have those elements, and they will accept it. You know, we've had... They had to go and rent out someone in Centurion and say, come be the acting king of the Bapedi, where else the queen is ruling her people. So there are two issues that must not be confused to be one issue. There's a land claim issue, and there's the issue of the recognition or the restoration of the kingship in the Gauteng area.
Yes.
When the king was appointed in 2020, the first thing he started doing was to move on with the commercialization of the kingdom, industrializing the land that belongs to the kingdom. There are claims that we have put when the king was still alive. Big chunk of Pretoria West, the industrial area, many parts, the Bronkhorstspruit area, and so on. So there are many pieces of land that are already in the system. Where we have put in a land claim.
All right, let's break that down a little bit more so that we get an understanding, right? Under the traditional leadership and governance framework, right, there is this commission that is being set for traditional leadership disputes, right? You've lodged a particular claim there. Let us understand what are you claiming there. Are you claiming recognition as traditional communities?
Yeah, so that's the second part. So the premier in Gauteng in Jan put out a gazette to say he wants to re-recognize or he wants to restore traditional authorities which had presence in Gauteng. And I think you might know this as well. You know, a large part of Gauteng was ruled by Sekhukhune. Until
I don't know. I'm learning for the first time.
It's fine. Let me now give you the history. A large part of Gauteng was ruled by Sekhukhune up until 1879 when he was captured by the British. In fact, that's the first defeat that the Bapedi suffered under the British. The British had to seek assistance from the Swazis and other nations, other independent kings and so on. to capture and rather to fight the Bapedi.
Yeah.
We were defeated in 1879 by the British, and Sekhukhune was then arrested. He was arrested up until 1881. And in fact, the reason for the arrest was the British wanted the Caledon area in Pretoria. That's when diamond and gold was discovered in the Caledon area in Pretoria.
Yeah.
They wanted control of that.
Yeah.
They then kept him in prison up until 1881.
Yeah.
In 1881, when they released him under certain conditions, where they say, look, we are releasing you, but on conditions that we are going to take certain parts of your land, meaning starting from the Vaal area, we want to put it under the Transvaal, which is, they then changed what was under Sekhukhune to the Transvaal. Mm. Now the condition was that we are going to take the Vaal area, we are going to take Central Pretoria, we are going to take Middelburg. In fact, the names come from them,
yeah.
you know. So we are going to take your land and we are going to segment it into certain regions.
Okay.
So there was then the Vaal area, the Pretoria, which was a district. Middelburg belonged to Sekhukhune, was a district. Lydenburg was a district, it belonged to Sekhukhune. And Pietersburg was a district, it belonged to Sekhukhune. And the condition was that Pretoria then becomes the center.
Yeah. And is this an undisputed claim that you are making? There's no one who's contesting and disputing this claim?
No one is disputing it. It's there in history, Thabo, that the land of Sekhukhune starts from the Vaal up until the Vaal River up until the Limpopo River. Yeah. In fact, you can go there now. You know, there's still a board there that separates us from. There's a board there that says this is Sekhukhune land, this is Moshweshwe land. Yeah. You know, so there's no dispute.
Yeah. I'm asking that because, for example, if you look at Mpumalanga, there's traditional leadership there that is laying claim of certain parts of that part of the province.
Of course. I mean, there are certain parts that belong to them. Yeah. It's like here in Gauteng, before the commission. It's not only us, the Bapedi, who are in front of that commission. Then the Velas are there. King Mabena has put in a candidate to lead, or rather to be recognized alongside us. So the one thing that I can assure you is, I know there's an expectation from certain sections of society, in fact, sections that hate African institutions. They're expecting that where African leadership is going to exist, there's going to be disputes. Yeah. And we're going to be at loggerheads with each other. What I can tell you now without fail is that our queen and then the Vele King are as close as nothing else. Yeah. And we are able to coexist. And we even agreed to say, guys, we are going to Gauteng, we are going to restore what belonged to us, and we're not going to fight. Yeah. This is where you were, this is where we were. Right. Then the Velas were able to identify certain areas, especially in the Heidelberg area, where the area was theirs. We're not disputing that. We're saying it's fine. We can support you. We don't have a problem with that. As long as we're going to exist and coexist, but in the best interest of the livelihood of our people. Okay. Because the one thing is the Bapedi that we want to bring to the table when we come into Gauteng. We've started engaging with certain sectors of our society where we want the mining houses in Limpopo, in Sekhukhune. We've got about 45 mines, platinum, chrome, and other minerals. Yes. We are reaching a point where we've mobilized and we are ready, where we are saying, in fact, the mining houses have been playing games with us for years. And we are then, we are putting a condition where we are saying, 50% of raw materials, raw platinum, raw chrome, is no longer leaving Sekhukhune. And when we say it's no longer leaving Sekhukhune, we are including the Gauteng area as well, because that's a part of Sekhukhune land.
So the question is, Gauteng already has residents occupying the land, and they've bought it and whatever else. There will be companies and so on and so forth. What changes when the land is now belonging to the Bapedi baga Sekhukhune?
I know for a fact that certain sections of society are going to catch feelings. You know, if we're claiming some farm somewhere in Ventersdorp that is dry, that has nothing, I know would not be asked that question. But the fact that it's now Gauteng, it's urban, there are buildings, there's everything. Reality is that it's our land and we were pushed out. The British saw something in it and they pushed us out of it. One, land claim. Government has got processes where if we claim and there are already residents on it, there are certain processes that government have. And let's be fair, it can't be correct that it's acceptable for a certain Mia family to own the whole of Waterfall. They're somewhere in Dubai, and it's wrong for Sekhukhune to own land in Waterfall. It can't be correct, you know. And so the government has got processes. There's a willing buyer, willing seller process that has to kick in. If it does not kick in, if there's land that belongs to us, then they can't give it to us. They'll have to give us alternative land. So there are many options. I think we'll cross that bridge when we get there with government.
Yeah, there are some. In fact, one of the responses from the Commission of Traditional Disputes is that that particular commission, of course, is not hearing applications around land, but also they are of the view that land does not belong to traditional leaders. Land belongs to the state as a rule, and it would be incorrect to say anyone who comes and claims land, then the land goes to them.
Thabo, what are traditional leaders? Traditional leaders are the state. They are ruling. The problem is people want to, when we talk traditional leaders, they want to single out a certain individual. Ask yourself one question. Where was the land taken from? It was taken from traditional leaders and their people. When the British came, they went for Sekhukhune and his people. So what's wrong now with traditional leaders and their people occupying and taking the land? But if you say the land belongs to the state, traditional leaders are a component of the state. When you talk local government, you're talking about traditional leaders.
Yeah.
So, and you know, it's a question that we are asking to say, if you are saying traditional leaders can't own the state, who are they? They are the state. They are a component of the state. It can't be that we are the state when people want votes from us, when political parties want to canvass, when people are coming with programs and so on, we are the state. When it now comes to the issue of the land, we are not the state.
Yeah.
Reality is that we are the state. We are ruling. And we are an arm of the state.
Yeah.
And ask yourself this question. What is a traditional authority? It's an institution. It can sue, it can be sued. Right? And the state, or rather the government, is wrong in forcing us. You know, now when they give us the land, they are saying, we can give you a land rather in the form of a trust, in the form of a company, in the form of a CPA.
Yeah.
Seated where I'm seated is wrong. Because a tribal authority is an institution itself.
Yes.
It can sue, it can be sued. Right?
Right.
Fine. We do that, and then there's a problem. In fact, that same policy, it what gave birth to what is in KZN called the Ingwenyama Trust.
Yeah.
The Ingwenyama Trust is inexistent because of the legislation that government has put in to say we can only give you the land in the form of a trust, in the form of a CPA, or in the form of a private company, and not as a traditional authority.
Well, I mean, even that we could take it further and say it's being challenged. The Mutlante report is even challenging that particular aspect of the Ingonyama Trust. Of course, it's being contested back and forth. But in a nutshell, when the Premier was making his speech announcing this process in January, he said that there will be experts who will be coming in to come and advise. And certainly part of their advice is based on their knowledge and the evidence that they would need to then assess for the claims that you'll be making for establishing a traditional community there. What somebody listening to us now, so what proof would you be presenting?
I mean, you know, there's the military history of South Africa. It's there. It's you know, the history of the Bapedi and our presence in Gauteng is there in the military history of South Africa. It's undisputed. You see, seated where we are seated, there's no one who is coming and saying, no, the Bapedi had no existence in the Gauteng area. Sekhukhune never had land from the Vaal River until the Limpopo River. Seated where we are seated, there's nobody that has come to us with a contradicting view. You know, all that's there is, there are other tribes that existed with us in the area. Mm-hmm. For example, the Khoisan as well have put in a claim. And our claims do not clash. And it goes back to what I said to you earlier. There is an expectation that African leaders are going to be at loggerheads with each other. Yeah. And unfortunately, for the haters of African institutions, this time it's not happening. So we are speaking in one voice.
You're saying the Khoisan are agreeing that they were not the first people on that piece of land?
Look, what I'm saying is that the Khoisan are not disputing that we had presence here. They are not disputing that. But there are areas in which they are choosing where they are saying, no, we were here, and so on. And we're not disputing that. So I think it will be up to the commission. Like you said, there's experts who are there, who are assisting the process. And we'll see. I mean, I'm told that the outcomes of the commission should be out somewhere 15 December and so on. So we'll hear what the commission says.
Was your claim only activated at the time in January when the Premier made the announcement, or were there other processes, maybe even prior to this, of claiming that you would?
Like I said, when King Victor Thulare was recognized, the first thing he did was to look for the land that has been ours and begin his commercialization process. So it started in 2020. Bapedi started in 2020. The issue of the recognition, of course, it started only now when the commission was established. We had to respond. We couldn't sit and not respond.
Yeah. I'm reading here what the Premier was saying. We are starting a very important process to place our leaders where they belong and ensure peace and prosperity in our communities. Today we're starting a crucial process of saying we are tired of insults, we are tired of war, we want to start a peace process. Has there been conflict? Has there been tension around these issues?
Not necessarily. You know, tension Tabo will come, like I said. As far as traditional, rather African institutions are concerned, I know communities that have been to the commission. You know, we are so united that we even advise each other. Like I said to you, then King Mabena and our queen, very close. Yeah. We advise each other going to the commission. We are close. We know that we are going to get resistance from the other side. You know, who don't understand the history, who feel it is correct for Dostane to have land in Gauteng, but it's incorrect for Hoshimampu, or rather Sekhukhune, King Sekhukhune, to have land in Gauteng, yeah, or King Mabena to have land in Gauteng. That's the only place where we are expecting resistance. But as far as African institutions or kingships in the country, we are united. Yeah. There's no war. We are one thing.
And what is the process that is being followed? I mean, from the members of the commission, they are saying that anyone who says, I've got a legitimate claim for recognition of a traditional community and traditional leadership can actually come forward. Where you are sitting, are you able to know if there have been individuals who've raised their hands, or is this a process that you're only going to find out in the end when the report is issued, as you say, later on in December?
I was shocked, in fact, by the commission responded to us after we've put in our claim to say there are 200 and something applications that have come forward. Yeah. You know, so we are yet to see who are they, where do they come from. Currently, I can only talk about the kings because we are in conversation with each other. You know, the Ndebeles, the Khoisans, we're in conversation with each other, so we know each other. As to the other hundreds and hundreds of people who have put in their applications, we don't know who they are, but we'll see. We'll see from the report when the commission has concluded its work.
Yeah. What are your intentions with that piece of land? I mean, once your claim is successful, it's a legitimate claim, as you're saying, the archives of history will prove you right. There is a question of land invasion. There is a question of cultural diversity. What are your intentions?
The first intention and the most important intention is the issue of the economic emancipation of our people. There's a point I tried making earlier to say, one of the things we want to do is we want a situation where raw materials are no longer leaving South Africa. We want a situation where our platinum, our chrome is processed in this country. We want a situation where steel is manufactured here. So we want a situation where our minerals will be mined in the other parts of Sekhukhune, which is what they call now Limpopo. And it's distributed and it's processed, in different parts of Sekhukhune land, including the Gauteng area. We want a situation where we reopen the farms. I mean, if you were to look at what Gauteng was back in the days, it was industrial. We want a situation where traditional leaders are the ones that are going to industrialize Gauteng. We want to demystify. You know, there's this perception about traditional leaders that when you think of traditional leaders, you are thinking of a person who is half naked in some leopard skin and so on. That's not who we are. That's not who we are. We are more than that. We want to play part in the economy of the country. In fact, that's what we have been doing before. All that has been taken away from us by the apartheid government then. So we want a situation where we are back in playing a meaningful role in the economy and transforming the lives of our people. So we want to industrialize those pieces of land, more especially because we've got minerals in other parts of our provinces, or rather of our province, or rather where we rule. And we want to reopen the economy ourselves.
Right. Kabelo, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. Kabelo Matsepe, representative of the Royal Bapedi Sekhukhune in Limpopo.